Alright guys, look, it's the fourth video for the day. It's probably going to be the last one. But let's jump into it. Exclusive, Julian Assange's living conditions deteriorate. More akin to a Stasi-Era Dissident than an award-winning publisher with an asylum. Sorry. So look, okay, so full disclosure, I have 2 or 3 heroes in this world. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and that's really, there might be someone else, but those are the major 2. They're my heroes, okay? Seth Ridge, anybody that sort of fights for truth, regardless of what your political views may be. If you're sort of fighting for truth and everything like that, I generally will appreciate you. Julian Assange is one of my heroes. Seth Ridge is another, and obviously Edward Snowden is the third. In no particular order, of course. But yeah, so full disclosure, I am a fan of Julian Assange. But that said, I'll try and remain objective. So Julian Assange's current living conditions in the embassy of Ecuador and London are more akin to those of a political dissident in China or Stasi-Era Germany, not a journalist claiming political asylum from a country that once promised to protect his right to publish information. So this is actually from Cassandra Fairbanks. I last visited Assange in March, days before the Ecuadorian placed the award-winning journalist in isolation for allegedly violating a draconian ban on all public political comments. So the isolation has been mostly lifted, but I felt a sense of trepidation as I approached the embassy last Monday. The Ecuadorians, pressured by the US, are widely believed to have grown hostile to Assange, so I didn't expect a warm welcome. I wasn't wrong. Things have changed a great deal since I last saw him. The surreal conditions are more inclusive than visiting someone in a federal penitentiary, which I've done, by the way, where at least you can speak privately, provided you aren't shouting and causing a scene. In order to visit the publisher last year, I simply organised it with him and his lawyer and went. This time I was required to provide details about my social media, holy shit, my employer, my reasons for visiting him in advance of my arrival, and hope to be approved. If I wanted to bring my cell phone, I would have had to provide the brand model, serial number, IMEI number, and a telephone number. Providing these details to a foreign national with extreme surveillance seemed unwise, so I left it behind. I wonder why they would have wanted all these details. It's not like you can hack into someone's phone and listen to what they have to be saying, or even, for example, access the phone and delete things they might have said. Right? Like, that information's not used at all to access the phone. Right? Of course it is. And that's probably why they wanted it. They probably wanted it so when she put the phone on the desk, it would have listened in the conversation. The new protocol also states the embassy will keep a record of all visits made to Julian and the date that they provided. This information was sent to Ecuadorian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other undisclosed agencies. After receiving permission to visit, not something I was sure of by any means, I was given an authorization letter that I had to provide along with my passport at the door of the embassy before allowing in. Once inside, my bag was searched and I was scanned with metal detectors. Is this girl visiting a publisher, or is she visiting like some prison? Like, oh, this is worse than prison. It really, really is. The TSA style, given the amount of enemies that Assange has made, this seems appropriate. Yeah, I can sort of see that, but, you know, you don't want someone to try and kill him, but it gets worse, don't worry. As this was taking place, Assange walked by, all smiles, which immediately reassured I had been tremendously worried about his well-being, given the tough restrictions placed on him by Ecuadorian's new regime. The reassurances didn't last long. After being guided into the conference room, the same place we initially met at the beginning of my last visit, I immediately noticed a marked increase in the amount of cameras in the hall and around the large meeting table. After saying hello, we tried to go to another room with less surveillance so that we could speak more openly. Within minutes, a member of the staff of the embassy came knocking on the door and demanded that we go back. As we walked through the hall, I noticed there was no angle that was not being recorded by a forest of menacing Orwellian black cameras. This is ridiculous. This is really... They are so afraid of him, aren't they? Currently, Assange cannot even have a simple visit with a friend without it being monitored by some shadowy state actor. It seems like a scene from the Stasi spy drama The Lives of Others. While Ecuador presents the surveillance operation as a mission to protect and support Assange, yeah, right. This is a contradiction to the fact that he isn't even allowed to confidentially speak with a reporter and a friend without being recorded. In May, The Guardian reported that there are extraordinary reports from these spies that include daily logs of Assange's activities inside the embassy, even noting his general mood. Yeah, anything they can give to the NSA, probably. As John Pillage pointed out after his visit with Assange on New Year's Eve, it could be any newspaper publisher or editor stuck in that embassy. For a crime of publishing journalism, Assange has not only had to give up his freedom, but also any semblance of privacy. It's impossible to overstate how unsettling it feels to have multiple lenses pointing at you wherever you stand. Unable to speak privately, even with the noisy machines attempting to muffle the microphone from picking up the conversations, we resorted to passing notes. Jesus Christ, Ecuador. Assange is not only barred from sharing his views online under the new regulations thanks to constant surveillance, he can't even do so among his friends in the embassy where he's arbitrarily detained. If we value the principle of freedom of speech, we must do something to stop this madness. While we do not know what Assange has been charged with by the US, as it remains under seal, we do know that it is related to his work as a publisher. The only publisher with a record of 100% accuracy, his dedication to truth is so profound that has never once had to issue a correction or a retraction. By the way, Assange actually beats my record on retractions and stuff like that. I've had to retract 2 stories so far. That is it, in 2 years. He beats me hands down. So, yeah, moving along. In the age of fake news, the work of WikiLeaks should be celebrated, not persecuted, and I totally agree. The WikiLeaks founder entered the Ecuadorian embassy in London on June 19, 2012. He was soon granted political asylum. The UK has long refused to acknowledge the findings of the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, which found that Assange has been arbitrarily and unlawfully detained and must be immediately released without the threat of arrest and compensated. On a positive note, Assange seems to be in good spirits, especially considering his circumstances. He looked good, though thinner. He was brilliant and sharp as ever, despite the efforts from the US and Ecuador to make his life living hell. They haven't broken him yet. It is clearly a lot more difficult to break someone who knows how necessary and important their cause is. The freedom of speech and the freedom to publish the right that must be protected at all costs. Assange's dissidence does just that. If President Donald Trump really wants to show the world he is committed to real news, he would end the witch hunt and allow Assange to get back to work. Which I fully agree with. And this is why I reckon that Trump is cleaning out his military leaders. Okay, so look, at the end of the day, look, obviously my view on Assange and his detention is that this is absolutely ridiculous. He is a reporter. He is a journalist. He's not living in some Saudi Arabia country or China state where, this sort of stuff should happen. And I find it very, very telling that people that once come out and celebrated Assange when he took on the Republicans with the Iraq War, all of a sudden don't want to touch it. In fact, you go through and you have people like Phil DeFranco, who supposedly are news reporters and have millions of viewers on their channels every week, don't seemingly talk about this sort of stuff. It's weird, that. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, don't worry, we will. But yeah, look, like I say, Assange is one of my heroes. He really is. Him, Edward Snowden, Seth Ridge, all these guys. I'm actually making a meme at the moment. Well, not a meme, but like a, I suppose it's a GIF, JPEG, whatever. I suppose it's a bit of a meme, but it's going on about my heroes don't wear capes, and it's going to be the photos, and yeah, you'll see it when it goes up. Put it up, follow me on Twitter. But look, at the end of the day, my biggest problem isn't actually with the Ecuadorian embassy when it comes to this. I think that's disgusting, don't get me wrong. My problem is actually more to do with the Australian government. Now, yes, it is true that Assange has handed back his Australian citizenship because of the way they treated him. But still, the fact is that this guy was born in Australia. Where is our politicians? Where are our leaders condemning this treatment? Why isn't the Prime Minister of Australia jumping on the phone to Trump and saying, "Hey Trump, one of our residents, or one of our nationals, one of our national treasures, or whatever you want to call Assange, one of our citizens is currently being detained. He can't leave the Ecuadorian embassy because he's afraid of being arrested and handed over to you. How about you let him come home?" Where are the Australian politicians putting pressure on Trump and the Americans to let Assange go? And this is something that I actually said to his mother a few days ago. My biggest problem with this is how the Australian government has treated her son. It is absolutely disgusting. He has been treated disgustingly from the Australian government. He has been treated disgusting from the US deep state. The Ecuadorian embassy is treating him absolutely disgusting. The UK government is treating him absolutely disgusting. All of them are a pack of arseholes, as far as I'm concerned, considering how they're treating Julian. And all he does is report things. He is a journalist. He is a publisher. That is all. So at the end of the day, here's a little hint, deep state. If you don't want your dirty laundry coming out on WikiLeaks, don't do it. Don't go blowing up a kids in a school bus and claiming it was terrorists. Because if you do, WikiLeaks will publish that shit when it gets released. If you have a problem with something that WikiLeaks has done, instead of blaming WikiLeaks, why don't you blame the people that have actually done it? The people that have actually gone through and committed these acts of horrendous nature. Why don't you have a problem with the deep state and the way they freaking carry on around the world? Because that's who I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with a reporter reporting the facts. I have a problem with the person doing the initial acts, the person pulling or telling someone to pull the trigger. And I really wish that people on the left would realize this. But of course, it's tribalism, it's partisan politics. You know, Obama went through and drone striked more people in history. But all of a sudden, Trump is a Nazi. The Obama arrested and detained more journalism or more journalists than anybody. But don't worry, Trump is the Nazi. But, I don't know. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What is your view on WikiLeaks? What is your view on Julian Assange? Do you think it's the Ecuadorian embassy that deserves the blame? Is it the American government pressuring the UK government and the Ecuadorian embassy? What about Australia? Do you think that we deserve some of the blame, our politicians too? Personally, I think all of them do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, guys, this video, it won't be shared. It won't be showing on anybody's trending list or anything like that. So please feel free to share the shit out of this video. Let's see if we can do something for Julian. I would really love to get him home, but I know that's a big tale, but let's see how we go. Apart from that, guys, obviously the last video for the day. If this video has been helpful, please smack a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy.